Alright friends, inside this video topic, we'll discuss another interesting concept of React, and that is what are states and how to use the concept of states management inside a React component. Let's go back to editor. So before going further into this video topic here, I have taken a simplest definition to understand the logical concept that what is the use of states management inside a React component. So here we can see in React, states refers to a built-in object that stores property values that belongs to a component. So it simply means that as we know inside a React application, we'll have the concept of multiple components, and inside each component, according to need, we will have some variables. So at some cases, what we want that whenever any value inside a component will change, automatically the component will be re-rendered. So inside that case, we'll use the concept of states management. So by using states, what basically it will do, so whenever the state object changes, it means whenever the value of that variable will change, automatically the components re-renders. So state allows React components to respond to user inputs, network responses, and anything else that making the component interactive and dynamic. Now, this is the very basic definition to understand the concept of states management inside a React component. Now let's create some simple programs. By the help of those programs, we'll have the clear understanding about using states management concept inside a React application. So I will go into same application what we had installed. Let's open this home component file. Now first thing first, I'll remove these two lines of code, and here let's say const counter variable, and the value of that variable equals to 1. And here if I will go and print that value, let's say counter, and inside these curly pairs, let's say counter. And what I will do, as you know that this is one element, this is second element, so it's better I'll go and wrap these two elements into a fragment symbol. Now here, and one more thing, I'll go and put this counter into h2 tag, and let's say counter. Now if I go to browser, we can see that counter equals to n. And one more thing what we can do, let's open our app component, and here let's remove this site component, and also we don't want these properties. Let's remove, go to home component, and let's remove this name and email value. Save these changes, and now we can see that welcome home and counter equals to 1. Now we want to increase the value, so let's say counter 2. So whenever if we change that value, automatically the compiler will re-render the component, and here we can see counter equals to 2. But let's say that instead of doing changes inside here, inside this file, what I want that we'll have some button, and by using the click event of that button, simply we have to go and increment that value of this counter. And whenever the counter will change, I want that this component will re-render itself so that we'll see the updated value. So what I will do, I'll go and use the states management concept for this React component. Next, after this, let's go back to editor. So first I will create a button here. So button, and I will call it as, let's say, increment counter. If I save these changes, and now we can see that here we have the button called increment counter. So what basically we want that whenever if we click on this button, it will increase the value of this counter. Let's go here. Then inside this button, I will add on click event, and here let's pass the function name called handle click event. Copy this function name, then I will go here, const function name, arrow function, it will be, and inside this function, we have to increase the value of this counter. So counter equals to counter plus 1. And here, instead of using const, let's call it as let. So we can see that whenever if we click on this button, it will call this function, and this function is going to increment the value of this counter. So if I go and let's say console.log here, counter, save these changes, let's go back to browser, let's inspect first, go to console tab. If I reload, now let's click on this button, and now we can see that here the value is incrementing of this counter, but there is no change here inside this counter. It means that component is not reloading itself or component is not re-rendering. So to avoid this conflict, we have to use the concept of states management so that whenever a value will change of this counter, automatically component will re-render. So how to use the concept of a state? Simply I will go here. Now, before using the concept of states management inside a React component, first we have to import useState, a hook method from React package. So for that, what I will do, I'll go at the top of this file. Let's import curly pair useState, and automatically it will be imported from this React package. Then after, I'll go and comment this line of code. Let's say const array. Here is our variable called counter, and here we'll have a method called set counter. It is something like the state manager of this variable. Then after we'll use the concept of use state, and by the help of this use state hook method, we'll initialize the initial value of this variable. So here the initial value equals to 2. So simply I will put 2 here. It means that now this is a state variable. We'll manage that variable using this manager called setCounter, and inside this variable we'll have the initial value equals to 2. Now next, I'll go into this function. Let's comment these two lines of code, and here let's say setCounter like the state manager, and inside this manager simply counter plus 1. Save these changes. If I will go here, let's reload one more time. So whenever if I click on this button, it will call this handle on click event function. And by the help of this function, by the help of the state manager, actually we are managing the value of this counter. And automatically, as we know from the definition, whenever the value will change, the component re-renders. Let's go here, click on this button, and now we can see that whenever if I try to click on this button, we can see the increment of this counter variable. So it's really amazing concept inside a React component or inside a React application that will have the states management. By the help of that concept, we can do any changes, and by the help of those changes, component automatically re-renders. Now let's see one more example. So let's go to editor, and here instead of this counter, let's remove first. So paragraph, inside this paragraph, we'll have a input type textworks, and I will something call it as let's say name equals to full name. So here I will add an event. Let's say on change event, and here let's say handle full name. Now I want to manage this input by using a state variable. So I will go here. Let's say const full name, full name, and the state manager called set full name. And here use state, the initial value will be equals to empty. So what I will do, let's copy this variable called full name. I'll go here, let's say value equals to full name. And now next, after that, we'll have one more paragraph. And here, let's say full name, or instead I will use h2 tag, let's say h2, let's say full name equals to, and the variable will have called full name. So I want that whenever if I do any changes over this input box, automatically that value will be reflected to this variable called full name. And this is possible by using the concept of states management. Now let's copy this function name called handle full name. Then I will go here, let's say const handle full name. Now next after this, let's pass an event object to this function, and here for the time being, let's say console.log event. Let's save these changes, and one more thing, for the time being I will go and remove this value attribute. Save these changes, let's go back to browser. Now here, if I reload, let's pass any value here. For example, I am pressing A, and here we have an object that is an event. Let's open, and if I go into this target inside this value, and now we can see here we have the a value. It means whatever will pass into this input box, whenever if I will type any value, automatically it will go into this like event target dot value. So here if I go into this handle full name function, and let's call our state manager call set full name, and here it's event dot target dot value. Now let's copy this variable called full name, I will go and let's add here call value equals to full name. Save these changes. Let's reload. Now here, if I try to pass, let's say for example, S, and now you can see that here the value is now printed. If I type A here or something A, now you can see another value. If I pass, for example, book here, and now you can see that whenever what I am passing into this input box automatically by the help of a state manager, we are updating that value into this variable, and this variable wherever we have used into this component automatically gets reflected without having any reload. It means automatically while changing our variable that is called full name, whenever the value changes, this state manager is helping components to re-render so that we'll get the updated value into our application. So this is the real use of states management into that React application. So now friends, I hope that this video has given lots of idea, lots of understanding to understand the concept of states management into a React application. So for this interesting course, for this interesting video, please hit the like button to like this video, subscribe to this channel. Now let's meet to our next amazing video. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.